Accountant who's been doing taxes for 20 plus years, every tax season I get the same questions from folks, just like clockwork. Do I need an accountant to do my taxes? And I'm going to be honest with you, no one needs an accountant to do their taxes, but I can give you several reasons why you may want one to. So join me on the other side where I'm going to talk about 3 instances I typically give my clients for why they may want to hire an accountant. Let's get to it. Welcome to Tax Chit Chat, the place where we talk all things tax all the time. So when I meet with a client for the first time, I usually tell them that there are 3 reasons we get hired. It's because a person doesn't know how to do their taxes, they don't have time to do their taxes, or they don't want to do them. And if you stick around until the end, I'll give you a special bonus reason why you will absolutely want to hire an accountant so that you don't cause your tax situation to end up a gazillion times worse than what it needs to be. I don't know how to do it. For most people, their tax situation is fairly straightforward. They may have a W-2 from their job, a 1099 for some bank interest, and that's it. But as we go through life, our tax situation sometimes changes. So while a W-2 and a 1099 is what you had when you first graduated college, it might not be what you have after you've gotten married, had children, or been working for a while. And this is when most people find that things get complicated. If you're sitting there on your computer, putting things in and taking things out of the tax software, watching your refund go up and down and up and down and up and down, and you don't know why, well then, you might want to consider hiring a tax professional. It's also a good time to hire someone if you don't know how to address what's changed in your life. This includes things like buying a house, a rental property, getting married, having children, buying and selling stocks or cryptocurrency, or even starting a business. And just because you use a tax professional one year doesn't mean that you have to keep using them. You can always go back to them in the future if needed. I don't have time to do it. Like I said at the beginning, I've been doing taxes for 20 plus years. And unless I'm dealing with a really involved tax return, like one that includes multiple rental properties or a Schedule C business, or it's a corporate return, I can usually get it done in about an hour. And that's because 1, I've been doing this for so long, and 2, this is what I do for a living. Whatever you're going to bring me, I've probably seen it before. And that familiarity allows me to get through a tax return a lot faster than someone doing it on their own. And that's one thing that's often forgotten, the value of your own time. If we look at the 2021 instructions for Form 1040, at the very end, they include the estimated average tax burden for individuals by activity. If you're not a business, on average, it's going to take you 9 hours to prepare your tax return. 1 hour for tax planning, 3 hours to complete the form, and then another 3 hours of record keeping. Okay, I don't know why it would take someone 3 hours to do record keeping. Personally, I just shred all my tax records. Okay, that's a joke, and you actually want to keep your tax records for at least 3 years in case the IRS audits your return. And according to the IRS, all of that stuff is going to cost you about $160 on average. But if it's going to take you 9 hours of your own time to do all of this, why not just spend an extra $150 or $200 above what you're paying right now and have somebody else be done with this in about an hour? Not to mention, you don't have to do all of the work. It's just something to think about, and it's just another reason people choose to hire a tax professional. I don't want to do it. No one ever goes, oh, I'm so excited to do my taxes and reconcile my 2021 stimulus payment and advanced child tax credit payments on my tax return. Really? Not even us accountants say stuff like that. When we first started this business, there were a lot of things that I had to do. Why? Well, because I didn't have the money to pay someone else to do it. So there I'd be on a Sunday, once a month, labeling and sealing and stamping 500 client newsletters. And then guess what happened? One day I got tired of doing it. I decided that 10 hours on my Sunday was better spent riding my bike or doing something other than folding newsletters. So guess what I did? I found somebody else to do it for me, and I paid them gladly. So if you're sitting there dreading filing your taxes, or even better yet, procrastinating until April the 15th, or even worse, up until October 15th when your extension runs out, then it's probably time for you to hire someone. Just pay the money, turn it over to a professional, and be done with this headache. And trust me, when it's all said and done, you'll feel like it's some of the best money that you've ever spent. Now for that bonus I mentioned in the beginning. When you haven't filed in a while. If it's been a while since you filed your income taxes, then you might not want to go it alone. Now I'm not talking about if you just haven't filed for a year or two. If all you're dealing with is 1 or 2 years, then by all means, go ahead and file your tax return. What I'm specifically talking about is when you haven't filed taxes for several years. Think 2, 5, or even 10 years. Once I had a client who hadn't filed taxes since 1999. Mind you, this was in 2014. You know you messed up, right? Yeah, you know you messed up, right? And in that particular situation, there were some things that we wanted to be careful about. How many years did we need to file? All of them? Some of them? And if we do file all the years, is the IRS going to come back and say that the taxpayer was acting criminally? Meaning, were they going to try and throw them in jail? These are all things that have to be considered when filing multiple years of unfiled returns, and it usually involves coming up with a strategy and a game plan. Because the last thing you want to do is file a bunch of unfiled tax returns, create a bunch of tax debt, and then find out that you only need to file a handful of returns. Better yet, had you only filed the returns that the IRS demanded you file, your tax bill would have only been about a third of what you got yourself on the hook for. So if that's your particular situation, then we recommend that you watch this video next. And until we meet again, remember, keep earning, keep learning, and just like that, this chat is adjourned.